2 hours. Sat at my desk, absolutely drained from the mental probing. 50 years of my life had led up to this moment, waiting for a specialist to finally give a name to the chaos in my head. She looked up from her notes, looked straight at me through the screen and said, "I'm actually surprised you've been able to function effectively." I immediately thought of being told that I was a daydreamer, lazy, or that I simply needed to apply myself. It wasn't a character flaw, and it certainly wasn't the early dementia I feared. It was ADHD, and suddenly, a load of questions were about to be answered. The path to diagnosis didn't begin with this video call. It started about a year earlier, on my sofa, staring at the screening tool, which I found on the ADHD UK website. And the further I got through it, the closer to the bone it became. I was hardly sceptical that I might have something like ADHD. But when I got to the end, it was a case of, do you know what? There could be something here. When I took the results to my GP, I was braced to be dismissed. I'd been here quite a few times before, but we always seemed to land on depression as an explanation. But that never felt like it quite fitted the jagged reality of my life. But this time was different. He looked at my scores. He asked a few pointed questions, and then, for the first time, it felt like someone had spotted the mask I'd been wearing for all of these years. The first major hurdle after that initial GP visit was the wait. 12 months. I spent that year in agonising limbo. I wasn't falling apart, not visibly anyway. I was still showing up for work, still paying the bills, but the performance was ongoing, and the cost was becoming astronomical. The mental fog wasn't just a metaphor anymore, it was a physical barrier I had to push through every morning. The ultimate, embarrassing irony of I actually forgot I was on the waiting list. I'd stumbled across a referral letter while tidying a drawer, which itself was a Herculean task, and have this sickening jolt of, oh yeah, I'm waiting for something important. Maybe it was the condition having a laugh at my expense, just confirming itself before the diagnosis was even official. The assessment itself took 2 exhausting hours. During the assessment we talked about school, my career, my family life. And then we got to my social habits. And I finally found the words for something I'd done for decades. Hitting the social wall. And as long as I had a focus, I was fine. But after a few hours, the lights would get too bright, and the overlapping conversations would start to feel like static against my skull. Suddenly, my internal battery would just die. No real warning, just like a toy running out of power, melting into the shadows and slipping out of the pub while everyone was laughing at a joke I no longer had the energy to hear. I wasn't being rude, I was just spent. I didn't have the social energy or the banter to say my goodbyes. I just wanted to disappear into the quiet safety of the night and head home, retreating to recharge until next time. Getting my ADHD diagnosis at 50 felt like a head-on collision between relief and grief. When that specialist finally looked at me and said it was a miracle I'd functioned at all, decades of doubt and confusion finally washed away. It wasn't a character flaw, and it wasn't early onset dementia. It was the wiring of my brain. But you know what? That clarity comes with a price. And I can't help but mourn the man I could have been, the focus I could have had, and the presence I could have brought to my relationships if this fog had lifted sooner. Now I have some answers, but I also have regret, and that is something that I haven't come to terms with yet.